What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Neeks Sports. This is your a morning show. Doing some Man United news on this Friday morning. Hope everyone's Friday has started well. I hope everyone has a good weekend, the start of their weekend right now. Happy Fridays. As I say, thank God for the weekend. I mean, it's been a up and down week for Manchester United since that defeat to Crystal Palace, and we're coming to the end of it. And it's the start of a new week. If we're going by football fixtures, of course, we've got a Premier League match against Brighton tomorrow afternoon, 12:30 kickoff, and I'll do a preview for that later on today. But today we're talking, at the moment, we're talking transfer news. And this is some news that actually broke last night. And I thought, let me kind of just digest it, see exactly where the sources are coming from, and kind of just get my thoughts around it first and foremost before I came and do it. So I was going to do it last night. I thought, no, let me do it this morning and get the kind of gauge where everyone else is at as well, looking through the different, replies and comments on social media. And as you can see across the bottom, apparently Man United have turned down a top-class player. And we put that in quotations, top class. Now, this news was broken by Andy Mitten of the Athletic. So obviously the Athletic, as we know, is it's a paid subscription news outlet. They pride themselves on not being clickbait, not being tabloid press. Basically, they are there to give the news as accurate as they know it. So on the face of it, you're like, well, it's come from the Athletic. Maybe there's some truth in it. And I don't think there's not any truth in it. But when I saw the news first, my first reply was sure we have. And the reason I say that is because obviously we know, because, okay, so I'll read the tweet as it came out. It was by the United Report, but quoting Andy Mitten. It says, an agent has offered a top-class player to Man United who United fans would probably be very, very happy with. He's baffled that United haven't got back to him. So that's Andy Mitten's words. The agent is baffled that Man United have not got back to him. And Man United fans will be very, very pleased, very, very happy with that player. My first response was sure we have. And then I thought, you know what, maybe we have. Because Man United get offered players all the time. There's always players out there for the right or wrong reasons, always players out there who are trying to break their contract, trying to leave. Probably know Man United's got a good wage structure in terms of how much we're willing to pay players. So, of course, they're going to offer them to Man United. We were offered Sergio Reguilon. We have been offered Alex Telles. We've been offered many, many players throughout the years. Some just on the case of trying to broker a new contract with their current club. Some because they want to join Man United. Some because they just want to leave and they want to go anywhere. So maybe we were offered a player. But I also feel that this news story is there to pull on the heartstrings of Manchester United fans. And I say that because Patrice Evra obviously came out with his video a couple of days ago, which I've done my own review on. It's on the channel as well. And he spoke about a sporting director of a top club calling him and telling him that Matt Judge basically isn't answering his phone. And it feeds into that same narrative that Man United aren't doing transfer business correctly because we can't even get back to agents for a top-class player. I would love to know who this top-class player is, first and foremost. And as you can see on the thumbnail and on the title, I say Man United have been offered ALABA, ? Because automatically, a lot of the replies, and I don't know, I'm unsure why. I say unsure. I get the reasoning why. ALABA, I think, is in his last year of his contract. He may be looking for a new contract to Bayern Munich or a contract elsewhere. A lot of the replies were like, it's ALABA, it's ALABA. And I'm thinking, okay, people seem to be very sure that it's David ALABA. Now, just because you say Man United would be very happy and he's wondering why Man United haven't got back to him. Well, if we go by the base of, let's say, Sergio Reguilon, sorry. He was offered to Man United, but the package, in terms of the financial package, the transfer package with a buyback clause, etc., didn't fit Manchester United. Real Madrid wanted the buyback clause, they wanted first refusal, X, Y, Z, jumping over hoops, basically to get the player that you offered us. Now, that's a good reason to turn that down. You've got Thiago, who left Bayern Munich, who made it clear he wanted to leave Bayern Munich, but he also made it clear that Liverpool's his first choice. So again, that offer's there for us to make, but it doesn't fit us because he wants to join Liverpool. That's his first choice. If he's going to join Manchester United, then either we're going to have to offer way more than Liverpool's offering, or Liverpool have to pull out the deal and we become the second choice, which isn't a massive problem being second choice, but it's a massive problem if we're going to have to, double his wages to convince him, like we did, for example, for Alexis Sanchez. We've signed players in the past who weren't that willing to join Manchester United, like Angel Di Maria, but they just wanted out of their club. So my real response to it, as opposed to the hysteria that some Man United fans, oh my God, how can we not get back to the agent? The offer would have been made, they would have offered him, and we would have known what the player wants, whether it's wages, could it be 300,000 a week? It could be the length of the contract. There could be certain clauses in there, whether it's release clause or otherwise, that doesn't suit Man United. And we thought, well, this is ridiculous. You're clearly trying to use and abuse. We're not going to respond to such a paltry offer of a player. If you really want him to join Man United, come with something better. If that's the case. I trust Solskjaer's judgment when it comes to players in recruitment. I don't trust Man United's process because clearly, we've only signed one player with about 10 days left to go the transfer window. So the recruitment process is an issue. But in terms of identifying which players need to come to Man United, I trust Solskjaer completely. So if this player was offered and he really wanted to join and the package was right, I believe we'll be in for him, whoever that player is. If all of those boxes are not ticked, then that's probably why we didn't get back. So I don't think there's any reason to be hysterical or anything like that, because I trust that Solskjaer's judgment of players who need to come to Man United is correct. Jay Spurs says ALABA would be a fantastic signing. I agree. ALABA, who wants to play for Manchester United, who would be playing at his best, etc., brilliant signing. He can play centre back. He can play left back. He can play midfield, defensive midfield, but also for Austria, I think it was in the Euro 2016, he was playing further up. So I think that would be a brilliant signing. However, if he doesn't want to play for Man United, if he isn't committed, then we're going to get half the player like we did with Alexis Sanchez, or in that case, even less than half the player. So ALABA, who wants to play for Man United, brilliant. ALABA, who doesn't, he can stay where he is. Cane Rosetta, you trust 80 million Maguire? No, I trust Maguire. Maguire is a good signing. The 80 million is down to the board and the negotiation, etc. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the identity of a player. Maguire has improved our defense. Whether it costs 80 million or 80,000, he's improved our defense. Now, how much we spend on him isn't in Solskjaer's, it's not in his remit. He doesn't go into the negotiation table. That's between Matt Judge, and that's signed off by, what's his name, Ed Woodward. And obviously the funds are released by the Glazers. But identifying players that want to join us is correct. Maguire didn't ask for 500,000 a week to join. He wasn't motivated by money to join. He wanted to play for Man United. So whatever we spend on him, that's between the negotiators. But the point I'm making is, if a player was offered to Man United and the packet and the player was willing and wants to join, then I feel that we will go in for them. But if they're asking for absurd wages, for example, then that doesn't show me a player that's actually willing to join, which means we're not going to get the best out of them. Jay Spurs says he would arguably be the second best left back. I think he would be the second best left back behind Robertson. Tierney probably third. He's that good. He's a brilliant player. I know he gave away a penalty yesterday, but he's a brilliant player. What do I think of Ousmane Dembele on loan? Well, I think I did a video on that a few days ago. To do Dembele, Sarr, Telles, and Sancho, and Dembele staying. So yeah, I think he'll be a very good option on loan. Very good option on loan, because without an obligation to buy, option to buy. And I think, you know, he can prove that he's over any fitness issues that he's had in the past. We know how talented it is. We've seen him at Dortmund. We've seen him in flashes at Barcelona. But his injury issues, are a massive concern. And I think if we can't get Sancho, that would be brilliant. But the reality is he wants to stay at Barcelona this year. So that's not really an option. But, you know, in theory, that would be a great signing for us. Kevin K, who seems very, very angry this morning, and very, very angry a lot of the times. I see you in the comments anyway. I think you're a Chelsea fan. I'm not 100% sure. Sancho's up there with Mbappe in terms of young, world-class talent. Agreed. Why on earth would he go to Man United? Because we're the biggest club in England, the third biggest in the world. Just because he's English, he wants to return to England. That's a fact. He wants to return to England. It's a step backwards. He can go to Madrid. They ain't got the money. They couldn't even afford Van der Beek. Barca, they ain't got the money. They ain't made any signings this year. They're on the middle of a clear out. Liverpool, they ain't got the money. They need to sell Mane or Salah. PSG, dead league. He's not going PSG. Not when Neymar and Mbappe's there. One would have to leave before that happens. Juve, dead league. Chelsea next year. Well, that's ridiculous. I think you're a Chelsea fan anyway. But that's ridiculous because Chelsea have signed Ziyech. They've signed, they've got Pulisic. Obviously, they've signed Kai Havertz. They've got Timo Werner. So that's 4 players for those 4 positions already. Then you've got Callum Hudson-Odoi, who Chelsea fans tell me is a generational talent, blah, 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 bleedy, blee. So why do you need Sancho? You've got Callum Hudson-Odoi. But anyway. Okay, we'll get onto, listen, guys, we're going to get into the other one. So that's the first one in terms of Man United being offered this top-class player that we turned down. And I'm saying if we turn them down, I believe we turn them down for the right reasons. Because under Solskjaer, the players that we've identified have wanted to play for Man United. And in the end, in some cases, we've moved heaven and earth to actually get them and waited a long time, like Bruno Fernandes, to actually seal the deal. So if we have turned them down, I don't think that player was the right profile for Man United in terms of his willingness to play. Moving on to the next part, so Telles overpriced. Now, it's funny because Yalda TV says, forget other signings. If the board are negotiating 20 million for Telles, or Telles, however you want to pronounce his name, it's interesting because I don't have an issue negotiating 20 million. I don't have an issue. If you believe the guy's worth 10 and they're saying 20, remember, he's got 1 year left in his contract. He's 27 this year. If you believe the guy's worth 10 million and they're saying 20 million, then I believe you should negotiate. If you don't get him at the end of the window because of the sake of 10 million, then I think it's wrong. But if you have to wait, I know it's going to be, 3 games in, which is an issue, but the season is 38 games long and his contract will be 3-4 years. So if you have to wait 2 more games and you get the player for the price that you believe he's worth, I think it's worth it. If you miss out on the player completely for 10 million, I think it's a bad business. So I don't have an issue right now, them actually negotiating 20 million, because you save money wherever you can. It doesn't make it, Liverpool, for example, they were negotiating for ages trying to save on Thiago. They signed Thiago, and then 2 days later, they signed Jota. So, negotiating down on one player for whatever reason, and Thiago obviously had a willingness to join Liverpool, so they felt they could use that. So trying to negotiate down on one player doesn't mean that there's not money in the bank for other players. Sometimes you do that as a bargaining, because if Porto come out and say, oh, he's worth 30 million euros, and you say, all right, here, boom, 30 million. That sets precedence for all other signings. Because you're like, well, if Telles is worth 30, that person's worth that. that person's worth that. You've got money to do X, Y, Z. But if you're Man United are trying to play broke, you know, putting out different reports saying that certain monies are or aren't available, you know, loss of revenue, etc., etc. If we are playing broke, then we have to continue to play broke until the Sancho deal is done. When the Sancho deal is done, then you can kind of do what you want. But if we go out and splash cash elsewhere and then go to Dortmund, oh, we ain't got no money, Dortmund's going to laugh in our face. They might be doing that already, but it makes your case that much less reliable. So I don't have an issue with the negotiation, but it goes a bit further because as it is, Manchester United, so Alex Telles believes Porto's asking price of around 18 million for his transfer is unrealistic. So this is the player. This is the player saying, you lot are pricing me out of a move. He wants to leave. And he's saying that their transfer fee is too expensive. He remains hopeful that a deal can be concluded this week, but he's braced for negotiations to drag on towards the close of the window. And Man United's stance is very similar. We're saying that it's understood that his valuation should be more around 12 million as opposed to 18 million or 20 million, whatever, depending on who you actually listen to. And there's also awareness within the Telles camp and at Man United that Porto need money to finance investments in their squad, which may force down the fee for Telles. And when you actually remember Bruno Fernandes, there was a lot of talk about Sporting Lisbon not having the finances and they needed the money. So Man United were using that to try and drive down the price. And in the summer, last summer, Sporting wanted about 60 to 70 million up front. Man United negotiated that down. By the time we got to January, we signed in for 47 million up front with add-ons, which I think rise to about 60 million. So not only did we cut 10 million off the overall cost, the rest are about 15 million of it is based on performance-related add-ons. So if you perform for us, then you get more money. So I think Telles wants to leave. Porto need the money. The player is overvalued as far as Man United are putting out and Man United concerned. So I think they're right to negotiate down as long as we get the player before October the 5th. That's the bottom line for me. So I'm not worried about that per se. And I do feel we need a left back, but I'm not panicking if we don't have one. You know, he's not going to be ready for Brighton anyway. It's too early for that. So too late for that. The game after that, I'm not sure what the game after that is actually. Let me actually double check who our fixture is. I know we've got we've got a cup game against Brighton again, and then Tottenham on October the 4th. So that's the day before the transfer window. So I would like all our business finished before October the 4th because you only then got one more day. But Brighton tomorrow and then next week, we don't need Telles for those games. It's not the end of the world for me anyway. But yeah, Telles doesn't think it's overpriced. Man United thinks it's overpriced. So hopefully, with both of those forces pushing the bid to go, the price to go down, we can get a better deal than first quoted. Because we were first quoted, I think it was 30 million euros, which is about 27 million pounds. So if we end up getting in for 12 to 15, that's a decent whack of money. It's a decent whack of money. Considering it's so hard at the moment for us to sell our dead wood players, we need to try and cut costs where we can. We really do. Kevin K is trying to force the Glazers and board out a waste of energy. Simply not realistic. A multi-billion business takes years to sell, and they won't do it because of unrest. Ollie still has to go. No, I agree. They won't just do it because of unrest. You have to really hit them in the pocket. That's the only way it's going to work. I think what the point is, because we don't want the Glazers there. They're running the show very, very poor from top to bottom. Directing the anger towards either individual players because you have an agenda, whether it be Dan James or Scott McTominay or some Marcus Rashford, or directing it towards the manager, it alleviates the pressure on the likes of Woodward, on the likes of Judge and the likes of the Glazers to actually get their house in order. So if we have to accept they're going to stay, then you stay doing what's best for Man United. Because you're right, trying to get them out, I'm not saying it's a waste of energy, but you just, hashtagging Glazers out, hashtagging Woodwards out ain't going to work. That's not going to work. But if they can see that we are shifting the blame because of the last 7 years of Ed Woodward, and of course 15 years of the Glazers, if we are putting the blame on them, they know that a simple sale of a player that we don't like or the simple sacking of a manager we don't rate is not going to cut it. Then they're going to have to get their house in order. And I do believe that some of those houses, some of the parts of the houses are being put in order and have been since Solskjaer arrived in terms of the recruitment process, who's actually deciding players. Remember, when Jose was here, Jose stated that he was being turned down. The players that he wanted were being turned down and vetoed by basically Ed Woodward, i.e. non-footballing people. That's not the case anymore. What's happening is that we can't negotiate the price and the Glazers ain't releasing the funds. But in terms of players that manager and the recruitment system are identifying, it's footballing people making those decisions, which is one duck that we need to get in a row. That's just one, or duck egg, as the case is. So trying to get them out is a bit, it's going to be very, very difficult. Very difficult. You need a massive investor, really and truly, who's going to come in and take over. But putting the pressure on them as the main issue will force them to make proper decisions as opposed to just selling a player or sacking a manager. Mexi Joe says, but Oli has been alleviating the pressure of the Glazers too. Yeah, but he can come out like Jose did. He can come out like Jose did and blast this, that, whatever, and get sacked. Who's that helping? That didn't help anything. That didn't help anyone. He didn't get the plays that he needed. I don't think he's alleviating the pressure on the Glazers. He's not coming out and defending them and saying the Glazers are good. I don't think he's even mentioned the Glazers because he doesn't really. He's not really in contact in that way with the Glazers. Of course, he's in contact with them, but he doesn't deal on a day-to-day. He deals on a day-to-day with Ed Woodward and Matt Judge. Those are his bosses. He ain't gonna come out and put them in blast. He'd be out of a job, and it's not gonna help anyone because they're not anyone. They've put like this. If he comes out and says that, he gets sacked. The next person they hire ain't gonna then follow in that footstep because they're gonna want the job. So doing that does nothing to help Manchester United, to help him, to help anyone, apart from fill our egos a bit, and we're happy that they've been outed. But we can see they've been outed. We know what they're doing. That's not the issue. But as long as he's there and he's changing what's happening in the inside in terms of the culture and the processes of recruitment, etc., that's the only way things are going to change. Him coming out in the press conference ain't changing nothing because that's happened already, and that manager was sacked. Well, the manager wasn't backed, and then he was sacked. So that we can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting things to change. It's not going to change. But moving on to Jadon Sancho, which is obviously Solskjaer's main transfer target this summer. And according to the Mirror, yeah, I know it's a tabloid press. It's according to the Mirror, not according to me. According to the Mirror, Man United will make a 90 million bid for Jadon Sancho this week, and the sum will be comprised of 75 million up front and 15 million on add-ons. And Ed Woodward will inform Dortmund apparently there'll be no negotiating over the fee or structure of the deal. Now, this is very, very strange. This is very, very, very strange report because I think, well, we've heard that Man United already bidded 90 million informally, but already bidded 90 million in August. If that's the case, why would we bid 90 million again? If they turned it down informally in August, why would we then make an official bid of 90 million? Is it a case of, well, look, here's the cash, we're putting it on the table. You can take it. I don't believe, something ain't right. Either the report about us bidding 90 million in August is incorrect, or this one is incorrect. Both of them can't be true. I refuse to believe that we informally bidded 90 million in August, and now we're going to make a formal bid of 90 million in September, even though the 90 million in August was rejected. That don't make sense. That don't make sense. Agin Chagsan, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. What about 90 million Sancho bid? If Dortmund won 108 million, what's the use of bidding 90 million and wasting their time? Do you think we should focus on centre back, left back, defensive midfield, and a right winger maybe on loan? Well, we dealt with the right winger on loan thing already, and I've done previous videos on that as well. The left back can come. Centre back, I don't think is coming this year. It looks like it's going to be, or our target is Upamecano. I think next year is realistic. I don't think we're going to get another player in midfield. I don't think we necessarily need one as a priority this year, but going forward, I think we will. But what's the use of us bidding 90 million? Well, if Dortmund won 108 million, a 90 million bid isn't an issue, because you never just go in straight at 108 million. You never go and just bid exactly what they want, unless it's a release clause and there's no negotiating a release clause. You go in a bit lower and you hope that you can negotiate. But I would hope that through all this time, all these months that's been going by, all these weeks that's been going by, that we're not just starting the negotiation now, which we're not. So if we're going to put in 90 million, I feel we must have some kind of indication that maybe Dortmund would accept it. Maybe. If we haven't bid it already. It's very confusing. Obviously, you're getting sources from one person to the next. They want 108 million. And they've made that very, very clear. Publicly, they're saying he's not going anywhere. I think if they accept a bid of less than 108 million, they would lose a lot of face. And because he's got 3 years left in his contract, I can't see 90 million being enough. If he had 2 years, maybe. If he had 1 year, 100%. But with 3 years left, I think I'll be very, very shocked and pleasantly surprised if they accepted a 90 million pound bid, 15 million of which is an add-ons. The only saving grace for Man United is the fact that it looks like, for example, there'll be no fans returning to the ground by at least March 2021. And it's been spoken about that maybe next year other teams can come into the reckoning. Now, if other teams and other leagues, etc., are still losing loads and loads of money, then maybe Man United might still be the only team in the reckoning next summer. And of course, that's unless if Liverpool sell Salah or Mbappe. Not Mbappe, sorry. Mane. Or if PSG were to sell Neymar or Mbappe. But in terms of football finances because of COVID, the losses are still going to be huge between now and the next summer. So maybe Man United is still playing on that. And of course, that because of those reports that's come out about how much we're going to lose, they're saying, listen, we can't go above 90 million. They're still playing ball. They're still playing bro. The money is there, but they don't want to allocate it to that. They'd rather allocate it to whatever the issues might be. Will Sancho be a deadline day signing, J Spurs? At this rate, if it's going to be a signing, it's going to be deadline day. It's going to be deadline day at this rate. Because I can't see Dortmund accepting 90 million, which means we'll have to go with another bid. And when is this 90 million bid going to come in? People just say this stuff next week. What, next week, Friday? That's what, the 2nd? The 2nd of October? Like when? Next week? Next week when? A lot of these people just say stuff, and I don't know if they really have any evidence to back it up. As I said, this is contrary to the reports we heard earlier. So, we have to wait and see what happens with the Jadon Sancho thing. I think it'll be a brilliant signing. Absolutely brilliant signing. I hope we can get over the line. If we have to pay 108 million, pay 108 million. He's worth it. He'd improve us that much. I think if we were to get him, I'll be confident getting top 4. If we don't get him, and we don't get a suitable right wing stopgap, I'm talking again Ousmane Dembele levels, which we're unlikely to get. So I'm going to say if we don't get him, it's 50-50. It's up for grabs. Spurs are in the reckoning. Arsenal are in the reckoning. Because I think Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City, with the squad that they already had and the signings that they've made, I think top 3 for them should be a certainty. If any of them drop outside the top 3, based on what the squad they already got right now, you have to look at the managers very, 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 very carefully. Whoever it is, those 3 should have top 3 secured, easy, no question about it. If we don't get Sancho, then we're in a battle for 4th again, and we're supposed to be trying to push on to the next level, not staying where we are. So, yeah, I think, you know, Van der Beek coming in. If we can get Alex Telles, and I know Jay Spurs, you said, do I worry about Telles still in the Portuguese league at 27? No, and especially if you're paying 12 to 15 million, it's a bit of a risk worth taking in that respect. But we've seen Bruno Fernandes come from the Portuguese league, and he's performed. I know he's not 27. You've got Wolves, you've got a bag of Portuguese players, and of course, I know some of them have come from other places in Europe, but they're performing. I think Alex Telles is also experiencing the Champions League as well, so it's not that he's just been playing at a lower league Portuguese side. He's also got experience on a European stage as well, so there's that you have to take into account. He's playing the Champions League, so you might ask, why has no one else gone in for him? It happens sometimes. Is he an upgrade on Luke Shaw? Yes. Is he the best left back in the league? No. But he's an upgrade on Luke Shaw. And I think it's an additional attacking threat out wide that we actually need. Him on the left, if we can get a Jadon Sancho on the right, I think it gives us much more attacking balance going forward. Because at the moment, it's like we're very stacked going through the middle. We've got Bruno, we've got Pogba, we've got Van der Beek, you've got Martial as a striker, and you got 2 inside forwards when they're playing there in Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood. So everything is kind of just concentrated in the middle. And out wide, we're not getting much threat. So it makes it much easier to be defended, because you know what it's like at the back end of last season. Teams were kind of finding a way to play against Liverpool, because it's like, well, all your attacking threats coming down the wings, so let me just defend the wings and hope that we can deal with the middle. But now they've got Thiago in. It's like, well, we can't just defend out wide because they're going to attack us. They're going to penetrate us through the middle. And we can't just defend through the middle because they'll just destroy us out wide. You need to have threats coming from all angles. And at the moment, we're very heavy down the middle and pretty much nothing out wide. If we're going to be really honest, nothing out wide. So I think those 2 signings will give us real balance in attack. You guys need a long-term Matic replacement. Yeah, we do. 100%. 100%. So even when we were linked with Thiago, I was like, that'll be great. I know he's not long-term, but he's a bit younger than Matic, much better than Matic. And I was like, we definitely need. McTominay is a box-to-box midfielder. When he was playing in the 2-man pivot with Fred, he was definitely the one getting forward more, much more of a goal threat than Fred. I think Fred at the moment should be the replacement for Matic when he's not there, because McTominay is not a single pivot. He can't do it. He hasn't got that ability, and that's fine. Like, everyone can't be everything. He's a box-to-box midfielder, so I think a defensive midfielder is definitely should be in the record next summer. I don't think Solskjaer's a massive fan of Fred, and there are better defensive midfielders out there. Indeed, he's one, but we know Leicester will charge an arm and a leg. I like Idrissa Gueye, and I wanted Idrissa Gueye last summer when he went to PSG, and I'm like, for years I wanted him. I was like, this is the guy. When you look at his stats, his stats for the last couple of years when he was at Everton were right up there with N'Golo Kante in terms of tackling, recoveries, interceptions. I think we should have gone in for him, and I think that was a big mistake. Could he still cut in now? Possibly. He's still got the legs, still got the energy. But that kind of player, Arsenal are going for Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey is a player I would take in a heartbeat at Manchester United. And that's only if Arsenal, of course, if they can activate that release clause. Maybe next year. But yeah, in terms of this summer, I think we've got a lot of players in the midfield that I can't see us signing anyone else there. Because if you take Van der Beek and Bruno, generally they're going to be more attacking. Then you've got Fred, McTominay, and Matic a bit more defensive, and Pogba who can do both. I mean, Van der Beek can do both as well. And to be fair, Bruno defensively ain't too bad. No, he's not going to be a holding midfielder, but as a box-to-box, not box-to-box, but a number 8, and you saw against Crystal Palace, he was very good defensively as well. So we've got very versatile midfielders. I think, Pogba, Bruno, and Van der Beek can play in 2 positions, 8 and 10, realistically. Matic can play as a 6. Fred as a 6 and an 8, and McTominay as an 8, box to box. So we've got enough options there that I'll be very, very surprised if we go for any more this summer. And to be honest, unless we sell one, whether it be Fred or Matic, next summer might be another one where we don't get anyone, unless it's someone that's young and we're going to develop. To go out and get an experienced midfielder now, it just creates more bodies and more people on the bench. I think we need to focus on other areas. Centre-back, left-back, right wing, those for me are the priority. And as Vianda de Silva says, Sancho, now or never. And it's looking like that. Because next summer, you're just hoping and praying that everyone else ain't got the peas. Because when everyone else got the money, with 2 years left in his contract, his price probably goes up. Especially if you wait until after the Euros and he has a good Euros, his price rises. Now, maybe if his price rises so much, it again only puts Man United in the market. But if we're not willing to pay 108 million now, would we be willing to pay 150 million next summer? I don't know. But that's the state of Manchester United at the moment. Apparently, we turned down ALABA. That's what fans are saying. We heard that we turned down someone. Telles and his camp feel that Porto are pricing him out of the move. Man United are valuing him at 12 million. Porto want closer to 20 million. And Jadon Sancho, within the next week, there are reports that Man United will table an official bid for 90 million. We'll see who bites first, whether it be Manchester United or Borussia Dortmund. Guys, thanks for watching. Make sure all of you are watching. Smash that like button right now. It will do massive. It will be a massive help if you can do that. Hit the subscribe button, share the video, and I'll see you lot soon.